Well, hello everyone. I'm sorry I missed you yesterday. I got so incredibly busy that I was away from 9 o'clock in the morning until 11:30 at night. So I literally did not have a waking, breathing moment to get around and make a video. Does that mean that the streak ended? Yes, but I'm not upset about it, and I still have a commitment to bring the content as daily as frequency allows. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a breather. So it's okay, honestly, that happened. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about something in this game, and that is under the gallery section of the game. Now, we are already going through Rocket's reports on Fridays or Saturdays, excuse me, and I'm giving you some dramatic readings of those, and I hope that you're enjoying them. But there's a couple of areas of this game that we haven't really addressed or looked at or talked about. Now, if there's ever a cutscene that you want to come through and watch or re-experience or kind of refresh your mind on the story quest, the movies section, which is really just a series of clips from the game itself, is a really good place to go. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the music and about the soundtrack for this game, because I think that there's a lot of really good things here, and it's worth mentioning or talking about some of the songs that really are quite nice. And it's also really great that you can use these as kind of themes for your types of videos that you would do. Now, I tend to use this Ultimate Alliance Returns main title theme, which is just such a great name for a video file, or a music file, excuse me, in and of itself, because it was a long time between installments in the Ultimate Alliance series, and this just really brings such a triumphant return to that, and I appreciate it greatly. Now, a lot of these other songs here have some really good themes or general feel to it, and so I wanted to touch on some of my personal favorite themes that are within this game. So if you would allow me, here are some of my top tracks from Ultimate Alliance 3. Now, we already talked a little bit about the Ultimate Alliance title theme, and this one is genuinely really good. I enjoy the triumphant sound and the triumphant return of this, and that's why it's the background of so many of my videos, and I use that very frequently when I'm talking about Ultimate Alliance 3 related things. I will switch it or pivot it to other tracks that I feel fit the mood better, depending on what I'm talking about. Like for my reviewed and ranked series, I would substitute out the tracks for ones that fit better with the character personalities that I had seen. And if you have missed that series, there's a whole playlist where I go into in-depth detail, more from a speedrunner's viewpoint of the characters in the game. So if you want to refresh some of my stances on those characters, feel free to access that playlist, as you'll find it pinned in the cards up above. And it's worth revisiting as well, because I feel like there's a lot of good information there, especially for in beginning and intermediate players that are trying to learn and become better at the game. Another track that I absolutely love in this game is the Standing Together track. And this takes some of that orchestral triumph that is present in the main theme and really changes it to being more of a camaraderie inspiring moment. This is what plays when Nick Fury makes his grand entrance and introduces the cast of characters and the wider cast of characters that will be available for your adventure and to help you out. And this is just a very fitting theme for that I quite enjoy. The Mutant Melee theme has to be one of my absolute favorites in this entire game. I just love the way that it builds going into the early portion of the track, and it really kind of builds some suspense of something is not quite the same as everything else. It's different and in a very good way. And then you get the electric guitar that comes in and really pays homage to a lot of the, or more specifically, the 90s X-Men cartoon, which that theme in and of itself is phenomenal, and if I could play it, I would. But it really ties that back together and brings an appreciation for the X-Men and all of mutant kind. And how could we make a list like this without talking about Infinite Madness? The song that ties together the main campaign, and you have the choir chanting in the background, just speaking of the imminent doom that you are facing if you fail in your endeavors to detain Thane. It really is the best option that could have been put together, in my opinion, for a culminating boss fight, and its grand scope and the consequences that are contained therein if you fail. So, definitely a hat tip to this track. Now, we need to pivot immediately and talk about Curse of the Vampire, because it has a very similar feel, but they dial it back to much more of a gothic feel in terms of the choir that comes in. It feels grandiose, and that is kind of the feel that you would come to expect from a vampire-themed item. They are known to dwell in castles and have a very gothic theme to them. And so having a choir chanting in Latin in the background, it's just the most fitting sound that you could have for a vampire-themed subworld or subsetting. I really like this being the title music. Another song that just has a lot of build to it is Larger Than Life. Of course, this is the song that you hear when you are fighting the Celestial in the Shadow of Doom DLC epilogue. And there's some really good stuff behind it, if I'm being completely candid here. It sets the scene of you facing off against a larger-than-life being that could do you and the rest of the world a lot of harm. Now, it's different in the sense of the Thane fight, which we focused on a little bit earlier, but this one is special in its own right because it truly does feel as if you are dealing with a threat that is beyond your comprehension. You have a general idea with the Infinity Armor and Thane as to what you're up against because you've spent the entire game tracking down the Infinity Stones. But with this fight, you don't have that luxury, and that's what adds to its grandiose. And how could we forget All Hail Doom? Yet another masterfully crafted piece of music and arrangement that sets the tone for the fight against God Emperor Doom. It fits very well. Now, of the boss fight themes, I don't know that this is my absolute favorite, but it's definitely fitting for the threat that is God Emperor Doom. And it really causes you to reflect on the consequences of what Dr. Doom would bring to Rot if he had his way. But those are kind of my thoughts in general about some of my favorite tracks from the game. Have you paid attention to the music that is present within the game? And what are your thoughts? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below what you think about the music for this game. And if you have a favorite track, be sure to let me know what it is as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.